What is up, mon chers? C'est jeudi à soir. We are back, boo boo patooties. Boo boo. Yeah, we're here in the heart of the forest. I'm perched on this fairy mound that I sit on sometimes. And yeah, we're here for our weekly romance oracle reading. And I'm shaking up I made this natural bug repellent. And it actually really works, but I just need to really spritz it around. But yeah, the mosquitoes are like the size of eagles right now because we've had so much rain and standing water out here in the, oh, sorry, that was probably more than y'all wanted to see. We're out here, we're running with wolves. Okay, so yeah, we're here for our romance oracle reading for the week. And yeah, I pre-shuffled the cards. I'm gonna cut the deck for you. Live and on camera. And also, I just wanted to tell some good stories. So I realized recently, well, I just had a really good lesson last night, that no matter what you lose, the universe, the law of compensation and the law of correction will come in, and you will be compensated for what is rightly yours. If you guys watched last night's video, I had a table that it was a business dinner, and they had a really high check, and they shorted me by like $72 on the tip. And it's not that I didn't make a good amount of money on that table, but it's I still have to tip out according to the percentage of my sales. So it still takes money out of my pocket when people don't tip at least 20%. And so I was just telling kind of that story last night just to educate people on how kind of restaurant tipping and money and that kind of thing works. And so it's funny because during the shift I did have one table that ended up over tipping me by $20. And so I was like, oh, that's great. And the whole time, I was kind of peeved that it had happened, but I was I knew with certainty, my energy wasn't changed. I didn't have I wasn't worried about it. I was just oh, the nerve of these people. But I knew eventually it was all going to even out. And so I just knew that Creator's my source and everything's going to be taken care of. And if that was meant to happen, it was meant to happen. So I let it go. And then here comes an extra $20. And I'm like, okay, cool. So that's at least $20 down that before I am made whole again. And so, yeah, I just kind of let it go. And I had a good shift. And so then when I got home, I was getting ready to do our nightly video, and I noticed that I had a message from my friend on social media. And she was asking about my Venmo, and I can't remember whether I answered her right away or not. But then I went on to make the video, and I had some work notifications from our app coming in they do every night. And I was just kind of distracted, and I wasn't paying attention to what was going on or making the connections. But after it was all said and done, and I was finishing the export on the edit of the video, I was able to go and follow up and see that this person had just randomly gifted me $50 just for as a tithe or a donation to the channel, just as a thank you. And so as a reminder, I do put my PayPal link or Venmo under each video in the description box. If you so wish to patronize me, you may. I appreciate every donation that I've ever gotten. It means so much. But yeah, it really does make a difference, and it builds me more up with positivity than it does as a monetary need. But it just it's such an energetic exchange when that happens, and it feels like $1 million every time. So thank you so much for that. It means the world. And it's always a confirmation too about something in my life, because they always happen in the most serendipitous and kismet times. So I also thank you for following your inner guidance in that moment and just not overthinking it. And I appreciate that a lot. Yeah. And so another thing that I wanted to tell the story of, because I feel when you are in appreciation and you spread the good news and you affirm your blessings, I believe that this is the creator giving me these blessings. Like, I'm just channeling the light of the creator in these moments when these manifestations come through or when these things happen. It's not by my own efforts. It's just about my own efforts to shed the things that block that natural flow of miracles in my life. And so that's what's happening. It's not a magic outside of me. It's that I'm getting out of my own way and getting into affinity with the light vibrationally from my core in order to align with that cosmic flow of miracles that's always there, emanating eternally, unwaveringly, unconditionally. So, in the spirit of that, I was thinking the other day on Tuesday that I was supposed to go into work because I'm usually scheduled to work on Tuesdays, and I just had been so busy I hadn't really paid that close attention to the schedule, and so I just got ready and went to work. But earlier on Tuesday, when I was getting ready for work, I was thinking, man, I haven't really been focused on manifesting like small things or like food or like stuff like that that's just like silly and fun in a while, and I really should I should come up with something. And I was like, well, it's got to be something I really want. And then I just randomly had this memory of something that happened a few months ago when me and one of my teammates were setting up. He goes, hey Liz, what are you going to manifest for us to eat today? And I was like, you know what? Let's do something really difficult. I was like, I feel like cake. Let's get some cake. And I was like, and make it buttercream icing, because I love buttercream icing, and because we have had no events in this building that would constitute a cake being here and left over, and it would be totally random, and we don't have it on our menu, so we know it would be a true manifestation. So that's what I want. And so, lo and behold, moments later, circling back, there was a first course that day as well. The reason that we got the cake in the first place was that I was riding on the confidence of the fact that, I can't remember if it was the same day or the day before, I was thinking about pizza and how fun it was that this guy, Chris, had brought pizza in Chick-fil-A in for us once as just like a random nice thing to do in a stack. And I was like, oh my God, that was so cool that time he did that. Well, that same day, Chris walks in with a pizza, and he just was there, and it had something to do with his car. He wasn't even at work. And I was like, oh my God, this pizza. Because I was thinking, oh my God, I'm kind of hungry. It'd be nice if something like that happened. That's so funny. So I can't remember whether it was like the same day or the same week or like the next day that me and my friend were having this exchange about like what food we're manifesting. And I said, cake, make it buttercream icing. Moments after this, our bar manager walks through and she's like, hey guys, I brought in a cake that was left over from a little party that we had. I'm gonna put it on the pass over there if you guys want some. And I was just like, oh my God. And we looked at me like our faces went white. We were just like, what the that was like less than, like we hadn't even let the moment rest, and she walks in like on cue as if it was a movie. So that happened, and then we went over there and we ate the cake, but I laughed because I said, I think that this is cookies and cream icing and not buttercream icing. So this is not the cake. This is not my cake, but I'll eat it anyway. Thank you. And so we laughed, and he, I think, thought I was insane and arrogant. So fast forward the other day on this Tuesday that I thought I was supposed to work, I was like, I just had this thought, like, I need to manifest some food again. And I was like, it was so fun that time. I just was like, man, I really want that cake. And like, me and Noah were like, oh my God, the cake, it happened. And so I just had this memory. I appreciated the memory. I was in the moment of the memory and laughing about it and thinking like, ooh, that is good. I do love buttercream icing. That is the thing that makes the cake the best. It's not really the cake, it's the icing. And so I'm like thinking about this in my head and just like not thinking much of it, but like obsessing over it in a lighthearted way. I get to work, and there is I'm like, oh my God, I'm not on the schedule. My manager's like, Liz, you're not on the schedule today. And I was like, oh my God, sorry. I just like always assumed that I am working on Tuesday, so I just came. I didn't like look at the schedule. So I left. And I didn't linger around or anything. I was just like, oh, cool, I've got like a million things I can do. So I just bounced. And so then the next day I came in, and I still kind of had the cake on my mind. And lo and behold, while we were doing our mise en place, one of the pastry chefs brings over this whole red velvet cake that she was like, hey, me and my fiance were getting cake testers from Publix, and I wasn't even intending on getting red velvet cake for my wedding, but I just had a craving for buttercream icing, so I just went ahead and ordered one anyway. And she's like, here it is, buttercream icing. The fucking within like 24 hours of this like thought occurring to me. And the thing is like, if that's not enough, I found out because the bar manager was there that night to share in the joy and splendor of our binge on the cake. And so, and then shortly thereafter, I was thinking like, oh my God, we never get ice cream here. It would be so cool if we got ice cream. And then moments later, there were leftover ice creams put on the pass from a buyout we had that had like ice cream cups. So we got cake and ice cream. So me and the bar manager are like in glee. We're binging. We're having a good time. We're in this primal feeding state on sweets. And she mentioned, she goes, oh my God, this is so funny because I brought a cake yesterday. It was a fucking repeat of Christina bringing the cake in the day before, not having buttercream icing. I missed that cake, but it's okay because that was not my cake. The day that I worked on Wednesday was the cake that was mine, the cake with the buttercream icing. So I just thought that was so hilarious and just an awesome story. And I feel like when you're in a state of appreciation and you're giving creator credit where credit's due, then it just attracts more of the same. So I hope that inspires you, and you know, prayers are answered, and usually like the ones that we're the least attached to come the easiest, ironically enough. It's set up that way on purpose. Okay, so I pre-shuffled the cards. Our intention is to tune in, and this is a message for the collective. And we are just looking for what is our guidance for our love lives this week. How are we going to expand in our greater potential to align in our divinely directed direction for the expansion and unfoldment of our soul? Where are we going in the wrong direction? What kind of pitfalls and shortcomings are we looking to overcome? As always, kind of like the theme in general for every of our segments. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut the deck from the stack. All right, our first card. This could be the one. You've already met the romantic partner that you seek. In the most general of senses, that's true for us all. Every freaking relationship that we have gives us a lot of information. It gives us information about what we want and what we don't want. And I think it's up to us to kind of curate that and figure that out about ourselves. You know, what do we need at a core level? At our deepest, truest authenticity, what are our core needs? What are we willing to compromise on, and what are our, you know, what are preferences, and what are non-negotiables, and what are those deal breakers, you know? So yeah, getting to know those things about yourself first of all. So yeah, in a way, you've already met the partner that you seek, because you're always meeting the partner that you seek. One time I was on acid, and this is like a story that I go back to that was kind of like life-changing and consciousness altering to me. It was a huge epiphany. I was on acid. We were just tripping around the house, but it was like a good deep trip. I think I had like maybe three and a half hits of like liquid water acid. And I mean, I have no resistance to like hallucinogens and psychedelics and things. Like, I'm all in. Like, I'm comfortable with like going to the other dimensions. So I don't usually have a bad time. And I was not having a bad time this one particular time either. But I was in a point in my life where I was in a relationship that was not progressing. And I had been in that relationship for a while. And I just was like really wrestling with wondering if I was with the right person. And with the concept of that period, if there is one right person, you know, because there's so many soulmates that come in and out of our lives. They come in for different amounts of time, for different reasons, for different purposes. So, you know, I'm just trying to like put all this in context in my mind, and it was like really tearing me up. And I was sitting out back, and there wasn't a fire going, but there was like all this like rainbow smoke coming out of what was the fire pit. And I was really warm, and there was no fire there, but it was like there was this like hallucination of this like rainbow fire. And all of this, like, I had my headphones in, and the stars were really out that night, and this whole like animated show was playing out. It was like the stars were like connecting the dots, and there was like animated figures and like cartoons coming through to me. And this face came through in the stars, and I knew it was like God like talking to me through this depiction, through this anthropomorphized person, and it was somebody that I knew. And what the message that divine was giving me in that moment, what the words were, what the script was it doesn't matter who the guy is, because it's always me, the creator, showing up just the way that you need me to in any given moment. And that put everything in perspective for me. I was like, oh, everyone has their own context. Everyone has a reason for coming in and out. And this was even before I learned Kabbalah, and I didn't know about light and vessel or, tikkun. I just knew, I understood soul contract, intuitively. So yeah, this could be the one. You've already met the romantic partner that you seek. Yeah, I mean, it's just about going back through all the things that you know that you need and want and what you want to call in. It could mean that you've literally met this person or not, but on a soul level, you've already met this person because you have contracts to grow through and learn with people. And so we can't always control who that's with or the duration. Okay. Let's shuffle these a bit. Shuffling. All right. Now we're going to cut it again. Give your relationship a chance. Work on your partnership. So again, this is about sometimes if you're like single and you're not in a relationship, or if you're in something that is not like it's not the vision of the relationship that you want, then a lot of times I view this card as give the relationship that you've been wanting for yourself a chance. All week long, our messages have been about going deeper into the self and getting clear on who you are at your core and what you need at your core and what direction you want to go in going forward. And so, if you are holding true to what you've already set out to do, and that's what you want, then that's up to you. You have to discern that. If you are going in a new direction, but you still hold true to the vision that you see for yourself, then hold true to that, right? But yeah, what for me and for how I see this is give your relationship a chance. That means that so many times in the past, in my last major relationship, I kept giving it a chance. And I kept thinking that I was failing the relationship by having boundaries and having a finishing point and being able to actually give the relationship that I really dreamed of a chance. And when enough was enough, I wasn't asking if it was right or wrong anymore or what I should do for myself. I needed to be done. I was done with it. Whether it was over for me or not, I was done. And so now I realize that, I overgave, and that was part of my tikkun. We talk on this channel about there's the soul correction that we have, and our assignments are sort of broken down into categories, and they get more kind of fine-tuned and specific. But generally speaking, we fall into one of two categories. We either have a tikkun of mercy, which is the soul correction is imbalanced, and it needs to find balance around being overly giving, overly merciful. It's you need to learn how to prioritize the self more, because of the expression of your codependency on the spectrum is to overgive and create bread of shame and separation in that regard. So you're trying to correct for that. The other half of people are in the tikkun of judgment, where their nature, it's easier for them to be more selfish and self-serving and not care about other people's needs and So they need to correct by being more merciful and more giving and more sharing. So yeah, anytime any kind of relationship happens in this life, anything that's playing out, period, is always just part of our tikkun process. So it's like each person has to discern what that is in their life and who people are. And that's the challenge of it all. But yeah, give yourself a chance, give your partnership a chance, or give the relationship that you dream of a chance. Don't throw in the towel. Had I given up on myself, I would be still, like, if we were still together, I'd probably be really sick, because honestly, when I was with that person, I was so stressed out that I was losing hair and my body was building up defense mechanisms, and I was like 50 pounds heavier. And I looked a lot older and a lot sadder. And when we broke up, it was like within weeks, I lost like 35 pounds. Not even changing diet or activity. And over the course of the last year and a half, like, I've lost the 50 pounds that I had put on during the duration of the stress of that relationship. So, it's like, had I stayed in it, I wouldn't have given myself a chance. I wouldn't have given myself a chance to develop a relationship with myself, or the relationship I have with my creator. I wouldn't trade that for anything, you know? So I am very confident and certain in giving my relationship a chance, you know, the relationship that I envision for myself. And if something isn't in alignment with that, then I have the certainty to be able to just open-handedly let it go away, or send it on its way, or whatever. But I trust that what's right for me is going to be there ultimately. And what's not right for me is not right for me, and it never will be. And then sometimes the things that are right for you can be wrong in the wrong season. We were just talking at work about how it was random, but the guy in that movie, Into the Wild, ended up dying because he ate a tubular root vegetable out of season. And it was poisonous because it wasn't ripe or in season. So interesting. We talked about how poetic that was in the moment. I was like, so interesting. And then we all pondered, and then we finished the meeting. Okay, the next card that came up in the cutting of the deck was career and finances. Financial issues are a factor in your love life right now. So yeah, I mean, love and money are connected, and I enjoy having financial stability and independence and freedom. And that gives me the freedom to never be, stuck in a situation. That I know that I can be confident that I can, if I let someone in, it's because I want them there, not because I'm like, in a state of not being able to live without them, or, So it's very important that you work on your finances so that you are free, even within commitments, that you can walk away anytime. And that gives you a sense of confidence in yourself, right? But it's like, it goes alongside healing self-worth issues, and mother wounds too. The wounds that we pick up from the mother make us question our value and our worth, and it affects our ability to make money. Even if we're hardworking, even if we show up, it's like, still there's weird like financial things that happen and fall through the cracks. I was the most hardworking person on earth in production, but no matter how many jobs I worked or how consistently I was booked, I would always have those gigs where like I would either like my paperwork would fall through the cracks, and like my checks would be late, or like it was the gig where like you would work and like suddenly they would like misappropriate the budget and like skip town. Like that was like a big thing that happened on like an indie movie that I was like working on. It fucking sucked. I've never worked harder on anything in my life, but at that time I hadn't been doing hardcore work on my self-worth, and so subconsciously it was fucking me up and causing chaos in my life, even though I wasn't participating in that like from an active standpoint. It felt like I was being victimized, but I didn't know how to just take fucking responsibility and take control of my energy and vibration yet. And so that's what I'm talking about on here when I'm talking about like taking sovereignty over yourself and taking responsibility. It doesn't matter like if it's your fault or not. Like the mess is there in your life, so clean it up so it doesn't affect you, right? Okay, so we're gonna do this one more time. I have split the deck. Flirt. Fuck's sake. Extend your lighthearted energy to others. Okay, so yeah, why so serious? Be lighthearted. Like, nobody wants to be fucking no Debbie Downer, you know? Honestly, so lighthearted, you know, be fun. Don't take anything too seriously. Be non-attached. Wear the world like a loose garment, you know? Just have joy in your heart and lightness. Don't make it so heavy, you know? Just try it for a while. It might shift your perspective. Either way, when you feel lighthearted and when you feel like you're fun and carefree and you're free and others are free around you, then it frees up the energy. It frees up the flow of cosmic coming and going, right? And the more work that you do on yourself as a vessel, the more open a channel you will be to float and like allow that cosmic flow. But it helps if you are in a lighthearted state. So at the very least, stay open and lighthearted, and be in a fun energy, because that's what's magnetic. It's, you know, usually when I'm in a fun, funny, lighthearted mood that my tables are like tipping me like way more than usual. So that's just flirt with the universe. Be playful with the universe. Allow in the blessing that wants to come in, right? And be true to yourself. All right, y'all, let's see. This could be the one. Give your relationship a chance. Work on your partnership. Financial issues are a factor in your love life right now. And flirt. Extend your lighthearted energy to others. Y'all want to do one more for the road? Oop, let go of control issues. Oh, no surprise. I mean, like, all of our themes have been coming up about our shadow self, about attachment styles, right? About letting go of control issues. Allow the situation to unfold naturally. Take your energy, your attention, and your control off of it. Take your white-knuckled grip off of the situation. Oh, my God, codependency was right underneath that. What's underneath that? Unrequited. I'm just not even going to keep going. Worth waiting for. Retreat. Just attract. It's just like, yeah, let go of control issues. Whatever is meant to you will align. And the more that you push or try to force something in the universe, it doesn't work out anyway, because you're not in surrender. You can't receive unless you're open to surrender. And if you are in a control state, you are contracted. White-knuckled grip. Surrender. Bon chance, mon chers. Bon chance.